Hi, my name is Aggie Christopher, and I'm a business owner and a life coach in Vancouver, Canada. Journey for You is a platform that I decided that I would launch. I want to discuss fitness, I want to discuss health, I want to discuss business, mindsets, anxiety, confidence, self-worth, just help in any way I can to help motivate and inspire so that you can be your best self. How to deal with disruptions. In my day, I have many disruptions. I have my phone blows up, I have text messages, I have emails. One of the things that I learn how to do, especially on the business side, is if I can do a task in 5 minutes or less, that's what I do first, because it's out of the way and that way they won't fall through the cracks. If it's something that takes a little bit longer, I do have my task list, and that is what is a high priority, which is my A list, and then my B list, which is middle of the road, needs to get done, but it's something that I can put off for a little bit, and my C list, which means that I can do it at my leisure. One of the things that I think people make mistakes with is, first of all, they don't have a routine. You have to set up, so therefore when you do have distractions, you still are on task and you do know what you have to do. So you're not confused, you're not trying to wonder mid through your day because your day has blown and you're trying to figure out, how do I get back to where I need to be? I think it's the same thing in life in general. If you have children and you have a routine whereby you get them to a certain time out the door, you have to make sure that those are what you're following. You can't have disruptions. You got to make sure as little as possible that what you're doing is you're making sure that all of your various tasks that you need to get done are pre-planned, so that when you do have, and the disruptions, the chaos in the day is going to come, you're better suited to be able to jump into action, take care of whatever that is, and get back to what you need to do in order to be able to complete your day. Distractions. Distractions are a part of life, and I think that for a lot of people, not a lot of people are working in offices anymore. I think that people are slowly getting back to that. The biggest killer of working in an office is the amount of people that come and vie for your time. You have to figure out a way to be able to be as courteous as possible, but understanding that you do have a time frame and you do have projects and you do have timelines that you have to meet. It's the same thing within your life. When you know that you have certain, appointments or time frames that you have to get to, that allowing yourself or allowing other people to distract you will only add the pressure. And that's when anxiety comes in. So you have to know what you need to do. You really have to get yourself on a schedule where you write on down to, if it takes you an hour to get across town and you know that you have to be there at 3 o'clock, leaving at 2 o'clock is not going to help you, because if there's an accident, if there's traffic, if there's anything, you've blown that time frame. So you got to make sure that you back off an hour and a half, and that way if you are there 15 or 20 minutes ahead of time, that's fabulous. If you show up 10 or 15 minutes ahead of time, people really accept that and really welcome that. If you show up 15 or 20 minutes late, people look upon that and then they start really looking at your character and understanding, or trying to understand, are you, the person that they need to be dealing with, especially if you're in a job. When you're in a job and you show up 15 or 20 minutes late consistently, that's not going to go too well, and you will find yourself probably looking for another job. Game plan. I live by game plans, and that's why I have been successful. I always use the analogy of, would you jump in your car and just start driving and know that you have to get to a certain spot, knowing that it's going to take you an hour and a half to get there, but you haven't figured out the route, you don't have a GPS in your car, so therefore, when you do that, you're just driving aimlessly. Not the most sensible thing to do. I think that what people need to do is they need to understand everything is in the preparation. Fail to plan is a plan to fail. So therefore, when you do plan, you do understand it takes you an hour and a half to get across town, and you do your Google search, and you look at the most direct route, and you find out that it takes you, in order to get across town, it takes you an hour and 35 minutes. Therefore, you have to back off and be there, leave 2 hours before. And those are the kinds of things. Doesn't sound like it's a big issue, but I can tell you right now, they are, especially if you get into whether it's a busy position, and if you're a salesperson especially, you live by being on time. That's what your first impression is, especially if you're trying to make a great impression with a large client or with any client. So therefore, and that works with everything. That works with trying to get your kids off to school. That works with trying to get dinner on the table so that the kids can get their homework done, so that they can have a little bit of free time or play time, and then have to get to bed at a certain time. Everything has to be done on a time frame. That's how successful people live. Successful people live by time, and they can also die by time if they don't plan accordingly. Success. Success is, I believe, somebody that, first of all, has a plan, that understands what they have to do to create that plan, to work that plan, to measure that plan, and to hit the target that they're looking for. My analogy all the time is that, or my saying is that there's a difference, and a huge difference between a goal and a dream. A dream is something that it's a nice feeling, you reminisce in your head for a bit, whether it's about winning the lottery, whether it's about, buying beautiful clothes, going to a nice exotic place, whatever that is, that's a dream. A goal is entirely different. A goal is where you've built a plan, you put in measurements where you can measure that plan, you understand what it takes, and you gather the tools to work that plan. And then what you need to do is, as you're measuring, and you need a time frame, so whether your plan is that 3 months from now you're going to be able to hit that target, you also have to have a backup plan. And that is where you've worked it, you realize you're not getting the results that you need, so you put plan B in place to continue on that path. And so you can reach that goal, you can reach that target, and you can be successful. And that's the way success goes. It's not complicated. What success is? Success is understanding, creativity, and hard work. And that's where success becomes. Well, success for me, and I think, I started thinking more and more about success when I entered into my first sales position. And this is going back about 34 years ago. And it's really quite funny because, or ironic, I should say, when I went for this job interview, and it was over about a 6 or an 8 month, and there was 13 of us that had gone for this position, and I wound up being the successful candidate. I didn't even know at that point, when they called me in to start on the Monday morning, we hadn't discussed salary. I had no idea if I was even making any money, but I knew, I just had this feeling that this position was going to take me somewhere, and I was going to do everything that I could in order to be successful with it. So when I went in on the Monday and we had the discussion, it was probably about a 15-minute conversation with the president of the company. And he had said to me in the first, few words, "This is the way it's going to go. You got 6 months, 9 months tops. If you're no good, you're out of here." So when somebody says that to you, that's quite motivating, and it can be motivating in both ways. It can be motivating whereby you shut down and freeze and you end up wasting that opportunity, or it drives you. And for me, that just drove me. So that year, I put everything in my power in while raising a young son, because my son at the time was about 8 or 9 months old. And I had, would have to drop him off at the daycare, get out to my territory. I would be out there by 7:30 in the morning, and I wouldn't end up getting home some nights until 8 or 9 o'clock at night. But my one idea was that I was going to do everything in my power, because this was a position that I could not give up. This was an opportunity that I could not let go by the wayside. And I did that. And within 2 years of being in that company as a sales rep, I was promoted to sales manager. And within a couple of years, when they were bought out by the largest food distributor in North America, I ended up being one of the pace setters. And there was 276 of us that were pace setters that were going to the celebration. It was in Montreal that year. This was going back about 28 years ago. And there was 2 of us that were female. The 274 were male. So everybody, because I was pregnant at the time with my second, had thought that my husband was the successful candidate of the winning the award and not myself. But that didn't bother me. I just kept saying to my husband after a while, Daryl, just say thank you. And as time went on, because I'm not a person that is all about ego. I'm a person that's about results. And for me, just driving, understanding, having the goalposts, and then when I hit that goalpost, planning the next goalpost is what's driven me, and is why in life I've been successful, because I drive to the post. I don't drive away from it. And that's where the goalposts are, and that's where I plan to be throughout my life. And I always say to people, one of the things that you have to understand, it's not the destination, it's the journey. The journey is what you need to do, because in my mind, and this is just my own mindset, that the destination is 6 feet under. So that's not where I want to be. I want to be on that journey.